How's it going, everybody? Welcome to our Season 2 End of Year review. Join us as we listen back to some of our favourite moments from some of the best episodes of 2024. Hope you enjoy them. Season 2, Episode 1. We're going to need a bigger episode. The one true apex predator, and we've mentioned them in passing in this because they don't really have any part to play in this whole Sharks episode.
It's the orca, is it?
It's a killer whale.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
I mean, the actual kind
how
of...
brilliant a predator that thing is.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose dictionary definition of an apex predator is that it preys on pretty much everything in its environment and nothing preys on it. That's your killer whale right there, isn't it?
I'm not even countering that, but if you go on YouTube and just Google and search for killer whales hunting seals,
on land,
hunting sharks,
on fucking land,
fucking everything. Yeah. Like there's
they come up out of the fucking water, slide along the fucking ice, eating everything that fucking.
But no. It's not even that. There's 3 of them will swim towards an ice floe, like there's a seal on an ice floe, and create a bow wave in front of them.
Right.
And wash the seal off the
ice.
It's fucking insane. And if it's a big ice floe that this thing is in the middle of, they'll use the bow wave. They'll use the bow wave to break it up.
Right.
It's fucking insane. Go on YouTube, check it out. It's fucking insane. Nuts. It's brilliant. Anyway.
Okay, let's do a podcast on killer whales.
Okay. The grey hammerhead shark is a very, very close runner-up to the killer whale.
Yeah. He is the most vicious shark, isn't it?
It's not even vicious. It's
it's the most...
The most... It's an...
Highly evolved.
It's an excellent predator, and it's extremely highly evolved.
Yeah.
Now, earlier I mentioned a trophic cascade.
Yes.
Trophic cascade is an ecological event that involves changes to the structure of an ecosystem, resulting in changes to animals or plants at any level of that food chain. Now, the best explanation I can give you for that convoluted sentence is, I think it was in 1995 or 6, wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park.
That's right, yeah.
And the wolves ended up changing the course of the river.
Jeez.
They did it by, when they come in, deer aren't safe.
Yeah.
And fucking bison or whatever the fuck it is in there that'll eat the grass and eat the young saplings aren't safe. So they couldn't be out in the open at any time they wanted, eating what they eat. Wolves predated them and ate them. And because they couldn't be in the open as freely as they wished, the saplings had a chance to grow. And as the trees grew, birds came back, squirrels came back. The ground became more stable around the rivers because the root system had expanded, so there wasn't as much erosion.
Right.
So ultimately, reintroducing wolves to the national park changed the course of the river. That's
kind of what I was getting at with the punkerfish.
There's a phenomenal video on YouTube. Just look for wolves, Yellowstone, trophic cascade. Season 2, Episode 2, INTEB's Believe It or Don't, IDGAF, December 2023.
Elephants in Mozambique have started to evolve tuskless.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
To combat poachers.
I'm sure it's, obviously it's evolutionary combat.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
Yeah,
but you know what strikes me? If they evolved not to have tusks, because, and on a side note, there's elephants called joint tuskers.
Yeah.
Elephants with massive tusks.
Almost
and they're all very rare and
almost like mammoths,
rarer. You're not finding them anymore. And if you do find it, it's going to be an evolutionary anomaly that one's being born like that. So they're evolving out. But if they evolve out and they don't have tusks anymore, fuckers are just going to find something else that's of medicinal value that an elephant owns that they will take. So you know this kind
possibly,
of sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, I mean, like, you're probably right about that. But with the evolution of tuskless elephants, they use tusks for building their homes, for foraging, So you've now got a species that is essentially handicapped in in its kind of survival. So it's changed.
They'll have to adapt.
Yeah, so it's changed like the entire modus operandi of the animal. Is it still the same animal then? Because
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, of course.
Isn't it, or is it a new species though?
Yeah.
Because 100%. It's going to have to
100%.
change how it lives, how it eats, how it feeds.
An elephant is not defined by its tusks or lack
of... No, but what I'm saying is not having the tusks completely changes the elephant's behaviour and how it survives and how it lives,
Yeah, no, I understand that. But they're still a cornerstone species.
Yeah.
So, no, elephant will always be an elephant. And hopefully they'll be here for a long, long time.
Please God, I love elephants.
Elephants are fantastic.
Love
they're
them.
Social creatures and they're so intelligent.
Yeah.
Did you know
they're surprisingly graceful for something so big?
Season 2, Episode 3, Merry Krampus and a Grylla New Year. There's a parade that's Krampus Lauf.
Right.
Krampus, Lauf. And it's a parade that people will turn out to see people dressed up as Krampuses.
Right.
Or Krampi. I don't know what the plural of Krampus is. Krampuses. And the Krampuses will beat the shit out of the people watching the parade as they pass by with reeds. Again, go online and look for a video. It's fucking... They beat the shit out of the parade attendees by the people who are actually parading.
Bit of sadomasochism going on, is there?
But it's... No. I mean, if you look at it, if you find... And you won't find the video I watched yesterday, but there's young teens, 17, 16... Well, I suppose they're not young teens.
Willow branches they used to be.
But there's 16, 17-year-old kids, which at my age they're kids, and they're being beaten by people whipping them around the fucking legs and everything.
Jesus Christ.
It's fucking mad.
That's nuts.
It's nuts. Yeah, so that's what they do. That's Krampus left.
There's one here pulling the hat down on a little baby. Man, they're like fucking extras from Lord of the Rings, though.
It's really is. It's the Urukai with like fucking willow reeds. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, they're really, really, really good masks. Like,
yeah.
Really
There's no fucking wish.com bullshit going on here.
Fucking awesome, man. Yeah, there's another one getting his hat pulled down.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Fucking
so
awesome.
We'll post a link.
He's just done it to a cop.
And who'll do nothing?
Yeah, she laughed.
Yeah, because it's a parade. So,
no, I would love to go and see that. It's way better than Paddy's Day.
Bother me hole. Can you imagine them beating the shit out of people walking by on Paddy's Day? Fucking hell. Nuts.
St. Patrick with his staff. Huh?
Season 2, Episode 4, The Ology of Earthquakes, Part 1.
Automatic safety procedures immediately kick in at the Fukushima nuclear power plant as soon as that first tremor is detected. So reactors 1, 2 and 3 automatically shut down. 4, 5 and 6 were already offline for routine maintenance. There was actually only 3 reactors active at the time of the earthquake, and they shut down immediately, automatically. Right, at about 2:45 that afternoon, the earthquake damaged the power lines that were feeding power to the station and essentially cut it off from the national grid.
Oh, right, okay. So, that's where all the generators kicked in.
Exactly, yes. The backup generators kicked in to keep the cooling water flowing into reactors 1 to 3, which even though they were shut down, it takes nuclear fuel a long time to cool down.
Right, okay.
A long time. And
how many reactors are there?
There are 6 reactors at Fukushima.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so 1 to 3 were active at the time, and 4, 5 and 6 were down for maintenance. So... Okay, failure of the water cooling pumps at Chernobyl caused the explosion there in 1986. So without the cooling water being pumped into those reactor cores, you'd see the same kind of massive steam explosion because the water that's in there has to keep constantly moving so it can't vaporise by the heat of the rods. Now actually, before I go any further, I just want to kind of explain a little bit how a nuclear reactor works. So people can kind of get their heads around what's going on inside there, yeah? Right, so in a boiling water reactor, a BWR, basically what you have is you've got a giant sphere that's completely watertight and pressurised. Right. In the floor of that, you've got like a graphite grid with holes in it for fuel rods and control rods. Right, now the fuel they were using was zirconium, and the control rods that they use is barium. Right, so basically the ratio of barium to zirconium dictates how much output that you're getting, how much of a nuclear reaction you're creating in the bottom of this.
And hypothetically, you can control it by
adding more barium.
Increase it by taking away.
Yes.
And decrease it by adding
right,
more.
now each of those rods can be lowered or raised individually, but they can also be lowered and raised together.
Right.
So as soon as the earthquake hits, all those rods are immediately automatically taken out of the reactor core.
Right.
So the nuclear reaction stops. Now that whole kind of spherical containment unit is constantly filled and refilled with water to cool down the zirconium rods, because they get like up to 2,500 degrees Celsius.
Fucking hell.
Right, so that's basically, and what they're doing is they're boiling water. Below the graphite grid is a massive boiler, which is boiling constantly, creating steam, which then drives the turbines and generates electricity.
Okay.
So that's basically how your nuclear reactor works. The cooling water is pumped in by electric pumps. When the power lines fail, the diesel generators kick in. So the water keeps pumping, so there's nothing going too wrong yet. So over the course of the next hour, right, a safety relief valve will open and close several times to safely vent steam and keep the pressure inside the reactor core at safe levels. This safety measure is likely responsible for averting a Chernobyl-like catastrophic explosion.
Right.
Right. So then by 3:30 then, the first tsunami hits the 19-foot seawall, which surrounds and protects Fukushima nuclear power plant. The first tsunami hits, it's about 10 feet high, I think. The seawall does its job. Everybody breathes a massive sigh of relief, and they think, whew, that's it, we're over the worst of it, we're sorted, we're grand, we'll get the power back on and everything will be fine. By 3:33, steam continues to build up to dangerous levels in reactor core 1. The safety release valve prevented an explosion, but the temperature inside the reactor is steadily climbing because of the failure of the emergency condenser system. So basically what turns kind of steam back into water inside that cooling system, that's now failed.
Season 2, Episode 5, The Ology of Earthquakes, Part 2. A possible geological explanation for the tectonic activity on Crete stems from the Minotaur legend.
Right.
You know, what do you know of the Minotaur?
I know he was...
and it's not Minotaur, sorry, I got it wrong. Minotaur. It's the Minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah. He's a man with a bull's head.
Okay.
And he lived at the centre of the labyrinth on Crete.
And what's the labyrinth's name?
Kenosis? Gnosis?
It's Gnosis. You said Gnosis to me,
yeah.
And I said, no, I've always known it as Kenosis.
Yeah, no, it's Gnosis.
But it's Gnosis.
Yeah.
So
the
you're right,
I'm
Gnosis.
Wrong. Grand, there you go.
When Minos, a great king of ancient Crete, and I think he was the first emperor of the Minoan Empire.
Okay, well, it would make sense.
Yeah,
Minoan
but I think it started with him, and their capital was Gnosis. That's why it's the labyrinth of Gnosis.
Oh, Gnosis, yeah.
And I quite possibly will say Knossos again, but it's a lifetime habit.
Yeah, no, of course, it's hard one to break.
Okay.
It's a hard one to break.
He built this empire, and Minos, and I don't know his brothers' names, but in legend, he's the son of Zeus and Europa. And she was...
all emperors always sons of Zeus.
He was a philandering bastard.
No, I think it was like the pharaohs in Egypt, wasn't it? They kind of deified their leaders.
They all did,
and
Zeus, pure bloodline, and that's why they all fucking died off. But legend has it, he was the son of Zeus, but, we know it's just somebody preserving their bloodline and their right to be ruler.
Yes,
all this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, Zeus and Europa were Minos' parents. And when Minos took power, he was having, I'm taking charge now with his brothers. And eventually Minos won out. Okay, he became king, and he petitioned Poseidon from our Medusa fucking episode, the god of the sea. So he petitioned Poseidon to give him a bull worthy of sacrifice in honor of Poseidon. Okay. So they said, Poseidon, give us that bull and we'll kill it in your honor. And there'll be a feast and a celebration, and gods being narcissistic, capricious fuckers. Yep, I will. And he gave him this, I think it was a white bull, but it was glorious.
Yeah,
And it was beautiful. Minos said, I'm not sacrificing that. And he decided to keep it. And he sacrificed a thrift store version of that bull.
Okay.
Right. So Poseidon took...
A Wish version.
Yeah. So Poseidon took a Wish.com version of the bull. Yeah. So Poseidon took offense.
Right.
And he got Eros, who's the guy that shoots the arrows into the boys and girls of the world to make them fall in love with each other.
And I just want to make a point here, actually. Dell is doing this ad lib with no notes in front of him, and I'm fucking really impressed.
I read this.
I'm really impressed here.
I have a good memory, and it's a fucking course as well as a benefit.
This is awesome.
So,
anyway, go on, sorry to interrupt you.
Poseidon, pissed off with Minos because he didn't sacrifice the bull that Minos had asked him for, said to Eros, fucking see him there? He said, yeah. He said, that's his wife. And his wife was called Pasiphae. Okay?
That name rings a bell.
And if it rings a bell for this reason, I'm leaving.
Okay.
That's Pasiphae. He said, fucking shoot one of your arrows at her. So he shot one of his arrows and she fell in love with the bull that... You know where this is going.
I do.
She fell in love with the bull that Minos hadn't sacrificed in honor of Poseidon. This is so disturbing. So she fell in love with the bull.
Right.
And she commanded Daedalus, who was an architect, builder and inventor to Minos's court, to build her
a labyrinth.
A wooden... No, don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
To build her a wooden bull that she could climb inside. And the wooden bull moved. The wooden bull moved. So she could move it through mechanisms and pulleys and all when she was inside it.
So what, so the bull had fallen in love with her?
And she went to a field that the bull frequented because the grass was the freshest there. And her and the bull got on. Or the bull got it on with the
wooden bull.
With the wooden bull that Poseidon built with her inside it. So this is the first record of bestiality I've ever heard. It's fucking so disturbing. So
where the fuck do you find this stuff?
Time passed on. Don't blame me, blame the gods.
I know. Yeah.
Time passed, Greeks. And she gave birth to a baby with the head of a bull and the body of a human. Yeah, I know, it's dark and it's disturbing.
So she's inside this fucking...
She gave birth to a bull. Minos lost the plot, got Daedalus, and he was furious with Daedalus, and got him to build a labyrinth beneath his palace, which is the Labyrinth of Gnosis, which no historical evidence has ever been found.
Hang on, you say, just a second, you say she got your man to make her a wooden bull?
Yes.
And the other bull shagged the wooden bull?
While she was inside it.
Was it not a cow?
Well, maybe it was a gay bull, I don't know. Daedalus carved this labyrinth out of marble.
Yeah.
And Minos couldn't kill the baby bull hybrid because it was Pasiphae's child. He couldn't bring himself to do it.
Okay.
When the Minotaur grew up, he had it imprisoned inside the labyrinth.
Yeah.
And I think the thread thing you're talking about is when he...
I don't think it was Daedalus, was it? It was someone else was sent into the labyrinth and he used that to find his way back in.
Was that not Theseus? Because Theseus killed it. Theseus killed the bull.
That sounds right.
Legend says Theseus killed the bull. Daedalus was placed there, I think, I read because he caused Minos great offence. But I think it was because he built the cow for Pasiphae that she climbed inside.
That was the great offence that he caused. Yeah.
So that's what I figured was. It wasn't said, but that's what I think it was. Theseus comes along, like they had a war, and as a consequence of the war and the suing for peace that would have went down the negotiations, there was 8 people to be sacrificed to the Minotaur in the Labyrinth of Gnosis every year because of the Minotaur's bloodlust. Right. Incidentally, Minotaur means Minos' bull.
Minos' bull, right, yeah, okay.
And I don't know why he got the name because he didn't do the deed.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I guess because it's Minos to put him in the labyrinth, so it's...
Imprison him, possibly.
Yeah,
imprison
it's almost like the kind of...
But I'm saying this because that's all legend, but that's how they explained the tectonic activity on Crete was when the bull roared, the ground shook.
Getting angry,
and there's documentation of them saying the ground shook, the bull roared. What it is Crete sits on a tectonic boundary. It's on a block known as the Aegean block, which is part of the Eurasian plate, and subducting beneath that is the Nubian block, which is on the African plate. So as the Nubian block subducts beneath the Aegean block, it causes uplift. And there's historical evidence of there being uplift sometimes of 30 feet. Yeah. And to explain it away and have no idea about tectonics or seismic activity or any crack like that, they explained it away with the myth of the Minotaur. Cool. That's just the Minotaur roaring.
Yeah.
The Minotaur
and stamping his feet or whatever, yeah.
Or whatever.
I love it.
He's down in the labyrinth of Gnosis.
Class.
Season 2, Episode 6, 10-cent beer night. As bad as an idea as 10-cent beer night sounds, there's I think there's a reality where it could have conceivably been a good thing. Where it wasn't a good thing is when the Cleveland Indians are playing their bitterest rivals, which was this night.
And who are they? Who's
okay. And it was the Texas Rangers.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
6 nights previous.
Right.
Because they have a massively quick turnaround.
Yeah, they played 3, 4, 5 nights in a row.
Or something like that. Yeah. But 6 nights previous, they'd played the Rangers at the Rangers' home ground.
Right.
And one guy, I read, slid into second base a little too hard.
Okay.
And
took out the second baseman?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
There was a punch-up.
Right.
And it wasn't handbags. It wasn't pushed and scum. It was a fucking punch-up. Yeah. There was blood, there were black eyes, there were fucking busted teeth, all that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
2 innings in, a middle-aged woman ran onto the field and flashed her breasts at the crowd. After the 4th inning, a fully naked guy streaked the field wearing a sock on one foot only. Pursued by a cop with the other sock in his hand. So your man had tried to bail over the fence in his socks. Only his socks. And the cop grabbed the whole of his foot and was left holding his sock. So he ran across the field with one fucking sock on and not a stitch of clothes.
Streakers though. They fucking
they fuck everything up. But yeah, anyway. Also during the 4th innings, remember I was saying they didn't say, Jesus, lads, this is looking a bit fucking vicious. We should cut it off early.
No, they won't. You won't abandon the match.
This is what they didn't say. During the 4th innings, Cleveland realised they couldn't keep up with the queues of fans looking for 10-cent beer.
Too fucking noisy.
Instead of cutting the beer off, they opted to park the beer trucks outside the outfield fence for easier access for the punters. So you know where you've got your diamond shape, you've your home, your 1st, 2nd, 3rd and home.
Yeah.
And the outfield.
Yeah.
And the fence beyond that. And there's bleachers on either side.
Yeah.
And there's that big gap there. That's why they park the beer trucks.
It's getting out of hand. Let's give them more alcohol, essentially, is what you're saying, yeah?
Yep. Each beer truck that they parked outside the outfield fences was staffed by 2 scantily clad teenage girls.
Oh, for fuck's
Because it's the 1970s.
Yeah,
and this was considered okay. Jesus fucking Christ.
Look at you wearing fucking,
Even after moving the trucks, the teens, fucking Jesus Christ, even saying it sounds wrong.
I know.
The teens still couldn't keep up with the people, the punters wanting beer. So one girl was serving the beer and one girl was taking the money. So you pay for it, you move on, pay for it, move on, pay for it, move on. And while that sounds like a system that might work, it wasn't fucking working. Okay?
The girl pulling the points was too fucking slow.
Or the beer tap was too slow.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or they were too impatient in the queue. Or they were queue jumping. Any fucking, a myriad of reasons of why it went to fucking hell. They couldn't keep up and they soon said, fuck this shit, and they walked off, leaving the beer trucks unmanned, unstaffed.
Oh, lovely.
As if 2 girls could actually do something to stop a crowd who wanted to get a beer truck.
Basically 10-cent beer night turned into free beer night.
During the 5th inning, a father and son duo streaked the field and mooned the Texas Rangers team.
Class.
Hey son, yeah dad, I have a great idea what we do. Follow me. And they fucking lose their clothes and they run across the field and fucking...
Love it.
Play was stopped as a couple of security staff tried to catch the father and son duo and escort them off the field. And incidentally, there was 50 security staff on shift that night for 25,000 plus punters.
Wow.
pissed up punters.
Sorry, how many secured is that?
50.
Jesus. I'd say we'd have close to that at a Bows match now with 4,000, you know?
50.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds good.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. By the 7th inning, a Rangers pitcher had been struck in the stomach by a line drive. So line drive is a low altitude, fast as a fucking bullet, straight as a fucking arrow.
Straight back where it came from.
Yeah. And hit him in the stomach. To which they were all saying again, hit him harder, right?
Love it.
The manager, Billy Martin, had called out a questionable ruling by the umpire, which caused another delay while he was out arguing with him. You know the way they kick door to each other and all that kind of shit. Yeah. You're out of here. And all that kind of crap. So that kind of stuff was going on, and the crowd were getting antsy or antsier.
Ramping up and up and up.
Yeah. And they started throwing full cups of beer at him because he had loads of fucking beer. So they started throwing full cups of beer at him. To which he replied by blowing them a kiss. To which they replied
by jumping the fences and ripping them limb from limb.
Okay, no. You shouldn't ever go to any of these fucking things. To which they replied by throwing fireworks into the Rangers bullpen.
Jesus,
which was
bad.
Which was evacuated.
Yeah.
And that caused another delay. By this time, by the time they'd evacuated the bullpen because people were fucking fireworks into it. Most sober people had left, probably taking their family with them.
Yeah, and if they had anybody in attendance. Yeah.
But most sober people had left, leaving only a drunken mob. Tennis balls, golf balls, and torn up seats were thrown at the Rangers during the 8th inning. So many streakers had taken to the field that security stopped trying to catch them and get them off the field.
Jesus Christ, was an orgy in the middle of the fucking field?
So, yeah, would they not just shrug and go, fuck's sake, come on, lads. That's a streaker's reason for being. In the 9th inning, an Indians fan, Terry Yerkic, that's Yerkic, so I think it's Yerkic.
Yerkic, yeah.
Yeah, Terry Yerkic decided he wanted one of Rangers' outfielders' baseball caps. Pissed up, he entered the field, grabbed the hat, dropped it, bent down to pick it up, and looked up just in time to see the Rangers player swinging a kick at him. Okay? The Rangers player swung a kick so hard that he lost his balance and fell over. So you know the way you swing kick at something and whoa, and
follow through.
Yeah. So he went down and he fell. Over in the Rangers bullpen, Martin, the head coach, had seen his player go down and seen an Indians fan. And he thought he was being attacked. Right. So he told his players, all the players that were in the bullpen,
get that motherfucker.
Get over there and help him and bring bats with you. So they brought baseball bats.
Fuck. It's getting out of hand now, isn't it?
Only now. On seeing the entire Rangers team making for the hat-stealing, pissed-up fan, the crowd, thousands of them, took to the field armed with knives, chains and bars.
Oh, holy fuck.
Fucking nuts.
Why would they bring in knives, chains and bars to a baseball match? Like,
chains and bars, I can probably stretch my imagination to that they'd be present in the stadium in some form or other.
Yeah,
especially bars.
Yeah.
Knives.
Cordons and
Knives?
Yeah.
Realising that the Rangers team's lives were in danger, the Cleveland Indians took their bats and defended the Rangers from their own fans.
Jesus. Fair play to them.
Well, you know, that's like fucking friend for life. The chief umpire of the game, he was hit with a folding chair. WWE style.
Yeah. It's a steel chair.
Oh my God, they threw him so viciously into the chicken wire. Fucking get a life.
I'll go to fucking Japan. It's barbed wire and thumbtack matches.
He was struck with a folding chair and he started to bleed profusely.
Ooh, can imagine.
Okay. After a hunting knife had been thrown and landed on the ground inches from his foot. Jesus Christ, man.
It is getting out of hand
that
now.
I was like, what the fuck?
I mean, I've been out.
But
Jesus, no.
It landed inches from, he called the game, only then. He called the game,
8th inning,
awarding it to the Rangers.
Oh, fuck.
He managed to escape the stadium with his life. Both teams also managed to get out of the stadium defending each other. After 20 minutes of absolute fucking riot, after the teams had left and after the umpire had left, the Cleveland SWAT team arrived and dispersed the fans with tear gas and riot sticks.
Savage.
There were numerous injuries, but only 7 of them were major. There were only 9 fucking arrests.
Jesus.
There were only 9 arrests.
9 arrests.
25,000 people, all of which obviously didn't riot, but there were 9 arrests, and everybody was go home.
Is there any footage of this? I'd love to see this.
Go on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it. I'd love to fucking see it.
All the while, all this shit was going on.
Was the game on TV?
If it wasn't on TV, then somebody was commentating on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would have hit the headlines the next day or whatever.
Definitely.
But all the time this was going on, somebody on the fucking organ in the stadium was playing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Take me out to the ball game. Yeah, fucking mental stuff. But there were only 9 arrests, which is fucking ridiculous. So Cleveland's 10-cent beer night went down as one of the worst promotional events in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
Season 2, Episode 7, The Origins of Valentines Day. I just wonder how...
They don't just go to a comedy club.
I wonder how much the thing hinged on the fact they had to be laughing. Know what I mean?
Not really, no, but yeah.
Like, so they had to sacrifice these goats, then they had to smear these 2 naked guys' foreheads with blood and then wipe it off with milk-soaked wool.
Yeah, I know, I got all that.
While they were laughing. And I wonder how, if you wiped it off
and they weren't laughing,
it was like,
to go and do it all
fuck,
again.
We have to do it again.
You have to sacrifice another 2 goats.
Somebody get 2 more goats and a dog. So, yeah, I don't know, but it was weird.
Yes, Dale, very fucking weird.
It is, yeah, and only then it got weird. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, it's fucking weird. Why they were laughing is so far beyond me, I just don't get. And that's a bit I went, because, with pagan sacrifices, you do get all this weird kind of fucking carry on. But they had to be laughing. I was like, is that a fucking thing? That's weird. Yeah, that was weird. Anyway, the feasting. Sorry, what did you say?
You couldn't find that on why the laughing was important?
No, it was just that they were laughing, and it's like, what the fuck? Really? What if you weren't in the mood of laughing? What if your dog had just been sacrificed and you didn't feel like fucking laughing? That was my favourite goat, you bastard. So the feasting began after the ritual sacrifice. Yeah. Hey, waste not one. Cook the goat, cook the dog.
Kill it, cook it, eat it.
Yep.
Well, after the feast. Just say cook the dog.
Yeah.
Well, surely not.
Why not?
If you have to even ask that question now.
No, I'm not saying everybody should cook and eat their fucking dog. I'm just saying there's a thing as well. I mean, aren't cows sacred in India?
Yeah, I know.
So they wouldn't dream of killing them.
Yeah, well, cows aren't your best friend, man. Come on.
Cows are so fucking empathetic and so, yeah, you know what? So killing that is fucking wrong.
I know it is, yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Anyway.
Ritual sacrifice.
After the feast, the Lepersi cut strips. Oh, wow. Wait to hear this. After the feast, the Lepersi cut strips called thongs from the hides of the sacrificed goats.
Okay. So, and then beat themselves with them.
I'd say that came in around the plague times when you used to flagellate themselves.
Or when,
that's not what they did.
Or when the Christians took over,
Yeah. They then ran naked through Palatine, which was the town surrounding, whipping any woman within striking distance.
Jesus Christ, it's even worse.
The whipping was hoped to boost fertility.
Oh yeah, like whip her and then get her fucking knocked up, is it?
Well, if you whip her with the goat hide thong, which I'm sure was blood soaked, then she goes into heat, was the thought.
Oh yeah, that totally gets her horny, like, you know.
Yeah, well, different.
Well, yeah, horses for horses. I'm sure some of them enjoyed it. Yeah, fair enough. But Jesus Christ.
So isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it is.
The women were said to put themselves in the way in order to get whipped. So it wasn't just two naked freaks running around whipping.
Cornering women and beating the shit out of them, like
weirdo.
Yeah.
But they got in the way. Yeah. So they were all in on this festival. They were all pagans.
And it wasn't painful whipping, then it was just kind of playful.
Which is a turn on to some people.
I know, yeah. It wouldn't be my cup of tea now at all.
So, yeah, there you go. Season 2, Episode 9, the Bone Wars.
Marsh was there
Marsh
at
was
this
there at the time,
yeah,
and Cope probably was too.
I would imagine
And
so, yeah.
a historian commented that Marsh was so bad in the field that he was walking past fossils of dinosaurs.
Right.
Like walking past logs. He said there were fossils lying around like logs and he didn't see them. He just walked past.
That's nuts.
So, yeah, he couldn't see his nose in front of his face. And that's probably nothing to do with his vision or how good or bad it was. He just didn't have the eye for it. Or he wasn't educated in paleontology and geology and archaeology and all that kind of shit. Yeah. So he just didn't have an eye for it. He was a fucking amateur.
These were in it for the fame and the money, really,
he had the money, and that makes me the professional. You know that kind of thing?
Yeah, but he was in it for the fame and the money.
That's it, exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, like at the time, like when dinosaurs started to be discovered like that, naming a dinosaur was a pretty big fucking thing. Like it was... And media. It did. I mean, later in life, Marsh, wasn't it, became the head of the US Geological Survey.
I did read something about that. Yeah.
Whereas Cope never really made...
Well, there's reasons for that as well, which we will get onto later.
So anyway, so they're walking away in the Como Bluffs here, and they start lobbing rocks at each other. Now that doesn't that sounds like childish nonsense or whatever.
It does,
This guy is 40, 50 feet up in the air on cliff faces.
Yeah.
And they're lobbing rocks at them.
But here's the thing. In 1877, there was a school teacher in the Morrison Formation. Yeah. And my geography of the US is not good, so I don't know if the Morrison Formation, which does extend through the US states.
Around the same time, anyway.
Yeah, but is it the same place? I don't know if it's the same place or not. But he found bones and he sent them to both Cope and Marsh.
Right.
And Cope was so thrilled to get them, he wired him back, I guess, $100. And he said, don't tell anybody you found these or where you found them, particularly Marsh. So he said, don't tell Marsh. So in his genius, Arthur Lakes, the school teacher who'd found the bones initially, contacted Marsh and said, sorry about that, can you send them to the other guy? And Marsh was pissed. Fucking pissed.
And he was, yeah.
And he sent them. Okay,
that's strange because what happened later. I mean, as I said, they were lobbing rocks up at these lads on the 40-foot cliff face or whatever, And then they were bribing each other, like members of each other's teams, to come and work for them. So if anyone, lads were particularly good on one team, they'd try and bribe them to come and work for their team. Yeah, they'd headhunt them. Yeah. And then it got really fucking, scientifically, it got really fucking ridiculous. They started to destroy fossils to prevent them falling into the other's hands.
Yeah.
These guys were not scientists. Let's be very, very clear on this. These guys were profiteers. Big time.
Yeah. And they were childish.
They were fucking ridiculous. They're batshit fucking crazy. And they destroyed God knows what. In their rush to publish, they made many, many mistakes. From giving names to already discovered dinosaurs to misinterpreting incomplete skeletons, right? Now, you've heard of the Brontosaurus, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Have you heard of the Apathosaurus?
No.
Right. An Apathosaurus was already described and discovered, and it was already a thing, right? And it was Marsh, I believe it was, discovered a partial Apathosaurus skeleton, missing the skull, right?
Okay.
And they found another skull close by, that belonged to a completely other dinosaur. Again, a species that had already been discovered and described. So back in his lab, or whatever, and all these bones arrive in, and he puts this thing together with the other skull and calls it Brontosaurus.
Okay.
It's only years later when the rest of the body belonging to the skull, of the same species, when a full skeleton was discovered, including the skull, which Marsh had popped on top of the Apathosaur and called Brontosaurus, was discovered, they realised that it was a completely different species of dinosaur. The skull didn't belong with it.
Okay, so his didn't exist.
Yeah, so there is no such thing as a Brontosaurus.
Season 2, Episode 11, The Unbelievably Ridiculous Legend of Hugh Glass. And I just want to make the point, at this time, Glass was 40.
Okay, so he's not a young
40
man.
years old. No, he's not a young man, but he's an old man for a wilderness man, for a mountain man.
Absolutely.
Like, they didn't have a very long lifetime.
No.
Not that many people there did.
Yeah, this guy's only getting started.
Well, he's kind of halfway through his story, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fucking... What have you done with your life? I was a captain, I was a pirate, I was an Indian. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not getting to the meat of it yet, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
not getting to the movie.
Well, yeah, the movie, but there's more to it than just the movie. Well, I would assume having not
there
seen
is.
the movie.
Yeah, there was lots. He joined these 100 men and they were going into the Rocky Mountains to trap beaver for their pelts and stuff like that. It was led by a guy called General William Ashley, and they set out on the Missouri River. And apart from one bloke falling overboard and drowning on the first day, it all went relatively well.
Okay.
If you don't count the 3 men that were blown to bits because one of them lit their pipe too close to a pile of dynamite.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah, it was just fraught with disaster, the whole fucking thing.
Darwin Award goes to...
Yeah, well, it can go to the guy who fell overboard and drowned.
Yeah, or to the guys who blew themselves.
Well, one guy blew 3 guys up. Yeah, but blew them apart. Yeah, blew them up.
Fucking idiots. Was that on board the ship, the fucking dynamite?
Yeah, and your man was standing there having
and it didn't sink the ship.
Having a puff on his pipe.
Yeah, but it didn't sink the ship.
Well, it was probably on the deck. It was probably on the fucking prow or some shit like that, and it just blew them all apart. Ashley went ashore to negotiate with the Ree, who you were talking about, who are the first guys in the film.
And went to a nasty bunch of bastards.
I'm not even going to say the Ree were nasty or the Karankawa were nasty or the other guys were nasty, because the fucking whites were just as nasty.
Oh yeah,
everybody
they were, but I mean some
of
the shit that,
Ashley went, and maybe the boat was fucking knackered, because he went onto land and he went to negotiate with the Ree for 50 horses. 50 fucking horses.
Well, they've obviously either reached their destination or the ship was so damaged from the TNT
that they couldn't go on. Yeah.
Couldn't go
so
further,
he went and he negotiated for 50 horses, and the chief of the tribe said, fucking no problem if you can give us some gunpowder. And Ashley went, absolutely, what could go wrong? Right? So they made their transfer. So that night they camped on the bank, and some of the guys celebrated by going off to the Ree camp
and raping the women. Is that what you're going to say?
And having sex with some of the women. I don't know if it was rape, because I'd imagine if they'd fucking raped anybody, they would have been skinned by the fucking Native Americans.
I thought that's what you were going to say. No.
Yeah, but no. So a bunch of them went and they had sex with some of the Native American women. Right. One of the guys, his name was Aaron Stevens. He was one of the trappers, one of the 100 that went north, that went to the village.
Isn't it Aaron Stevens?
Yeah, went to the village, had his throat cut.
Okay.
Obviously overstepped the mark. Yeah. But had his throat cut. And he wasn't the only one in the village. Like, a bunch of them had gone there, and the others came back. So it was obviously he transgressed or something.
He raped somebody.
Or maybe he just punched the shit out of the girl afterwards, because that was his thing. But somebody went, fuck you, buddy. And either she cut his throat or one of the warriors cut his throat. But his throat was cool. Okay? And they all came back to the camp. The Ree attacked the camp the next morning at sunrise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had obviously been bold boys in some way.
Or something. There were 15 trappers killed, and Hugh Glass was injured. He was shot with an arrow in the leg or something like that, but he was injured. And they made their way to safety by the boat, going back down the river the way they'd come. Right. So that was the end of the line. that particular insertion into the Rocky Mountains. Season 2, Episode 12, INTEB's Believe It or Don't, IDGAF, April 2024. The dangers first savage divers who used that helmet was huge. And one in particular was known as the Squeeze.
Right.
Okay.
Something to do with pressure.
Yeah. I'm laughing at Paul. Yes. And you're not wrong. When surface pumps failed, as they did sometimes,
right,
there'd be a catastrophic loss of pressure in the suit. When there was a catastrophic loss of pressure in the suit, the air would leave the suit with such force that the diver, along with all of the air, would be sucked into the helmet and the pipe. When the diver was dragged back to the surface. All that was left in the suit were his bones and some flesh.
Oh, Christ.
Isn't that... I'm not saying that's deadly.
I thought you were going to say like the fucking suit contracted under the pressure and kind of.
Well, I'm sure it would, but he got sucked up into the suit.
Jesus, fuck me. That's mad.
But that's the challenge. That's not the challenge. That's the risk they took.
Yeah, the sea is a harsh mistress.
It's nothing to do with the fucking sea. She's doing with the pipes pumping air in that failed.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, but you know, if you're at that depth, you know what I mean, and anything goes wrong, it's not going to end well, and it's not a fucking pretty death, you know.
Yeah, you were finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Bright and breezy.
That's it.
Season 2, Episode 13, Action Park, Part 1. It was very similar to other enclosed slides. Now, by enclosed slide, you know,
the tube.
And I'm just saying this for anybody listening who can't visualize it. It's a tube. It's the enclosed roof sides ceiling. It's the round tube that the water flushes through that you slide down. That's the enclosed slide. Yeah. So the cannonball slide was very like that, and I think it was like a 30-degree angle that you slide down.
Right. So it's quite steep.
But not massively steep.
Yeah.
Okay? So it'd come down this slide, and at the end of the slide, there is a full 360-degree loop before you get fired out into the landing pond.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck it's called.
Into the pool, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a pool, because the pool would have people swimming in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just
so it's the landing pond,
the
paddling pool thing that you skid across and you stop and you're in a foot and a half of water and you walk out, that kind of thing. Right. Okay. I had this 300 so you come down this 30 degree, let's call it 30 degrees, and you come down this slide and you go full loop and you get fired out at the end of it.
Yeah.
Most other theme parks in the world then and now and since don't have these loops for a very good fucking reason.
I know.
Okay?
I can imagine exactly why.
They're too fucking dangerous.
Yeah, you come down on your head like.
Well, if you're not carrying enough speed, so if a rider is not carrying enough speed into the slide, and that's determined by the angle that they're coming down, so we're saying it's 30 degrees.
Where you're putting your feet.
The weight. Well, and if you're horsing about on the slide, I mean, you're strictly told at the top, no fucking around.
Yeah, keep your arms inside and...
Teens are going to be teens. You've got your feet pointed out straight in front of you. You've got your arms folded across your chest. Which is the way you would go down.
Like if you get a bit panicky, you might start grabbing the sides as well.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the thing. Anyway, they come down. If they weren't carrying enough speed, they stalled at the top of the loop and fell, hitting the inside wall of the loop, of the flue. Yeah,
that's exactly what I had in mind,
Yeah.
Although not an enclosed one when you initially said it. I thought it was an open slide.
No, that's it. There's one of them that I will get to, and it may not be in this episode, but there's fucking everything you can fucking think of that could go wrong did go wrong.
Lunatics did,
yeah. Broken bones, back injuries, lacerations were common on this cannonball slide. It's rumoured that employees were offered, and we now know it's true, they were offered $100 to test this out before it was open to the public. Prior to the employees being dangled the carrot of $100, they would have put mannequins down there.
Right.
And frequently, the mannequins came out the other end without their heads.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No one, I'm saying this right now, spoiler alert, no one ever lost their life on this.
Okay.
No one ever came out without a head or anything like that.
Right, but it was still pretty bad though.
Yeah. There were lots of injuries on it, and it was only open for one season before they withdrew and went, fuck this shit. And if Action Park was Action Park and they're closing a ride because of the danger, you know it's fucking dangerous.
It must have been seriously dangerous.
You know? Yeah. It's on record. This is what I'm saying. It was on record that mannequins were used to test it before the employees tested it, and they often came down without their heads. Mannequins fall apart, you know, but it's just what caused
the head to come off.
The head to come off in the first place.
Mightn't happen in a human body, but it would certainly break your neck.
People that did emerge at the bottom after the slide had been open to the public sometimes had scrapes. As we were saying, they had fucking broken noses from where they didn't complete the loop and they fell, and then they came out dazed and confused and broken nosed and bruised and black eyes and cuts and fucking lacerations. And sometimes they came out with mystery injuries.
Right.
And they were like, how the fuck did that happen? Did you complete the loop? Yeah, well, I didn't hit anything. And you're still cutting, you're going, what the absolute fuck? And it was a mystery until the slide was closed and they started to take apart.
Right.
As they took the loop apart, there were teeth embedded in the wall of the slide. Jesus. Where people had fucking come and not completed the loop and landed on their fucking face and lost teeth and
the teeth were embedded in the plastic.
Came out the other end, bloodied and missing teeth, and they'd go off and they'd go to hospital or whatever it was.
Their teeth were still there.
Their teeth were still jammed into the fucking slide. Season 2, episode 21, Firefest. How to scam a millennial and get away with it.
So at this stage anyway, by the time he has all this fucking sort, he's 26 million quid in the hole. So
after getting him 50 million?
Yeah, he's now 26 million in the fucking hole.
In the red, yeah.
Right? So he comes up with, cashless wristbands. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This guy fucking, when the money runs out, it's find another way to scam more money out of people, essentially, right? So he announces that the whole festival is cashless. Do not bring cash. You're going to get a wristband. A digital wristband that you load your cash onto. We're going to send you this wristband now, and you have 7 days to load how much money you want to bring to the festival with you.
Okay.
You've got a 7-day window to load it. So all these wristbands are sent out to everybody, obviously, and then they start doing ads recommending that you load between $3,000 and $5,000 onto them to do you for the weekend. And of course, naturally, these rich millennials rush out and they all fucking load up the money, and he raises 800 grand overnight.
Right, okay.
Right, so that's more money coming in, still nothing going out, right? He has a $6 million catering contract, but he's only got £1 million in the budget for it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an issue. And the other thing that was advertised as well as part of this was exclusive private jet flights, right, from Miami out to the island, right? So you got a private jet. You were taken out to the island.
Did he have a private jet?
No.
Right, okay.
Okay. It's also bringing like 12,000 people. That's a lot of private jets.
The questions I'm asking are all rhetorical because I know the fucking answers.
I know, yeah, right. Anyway, the private jets were 737 with like Firefest painted down the side of it. Not even well.
Right, okay.
Right, so these are private jets, right? Okay, so anyway, people start to arrive. Now, like, we're up to now a few days before the festival, Dale, yeah?
When was the festival to go off?
I'm not sure of the date.
Did he change it from the regatta or just...
No.
Conflicted, right?
No, okay. Fucking they stuck with the date. They just kept going.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, right. So people start to arrive. The jets start to land. Force jet is full of influencers, right? Which is his big mistake. They were the first ones brought over because he's thinking, get them there, get them tweeting about how great this is, and then that's gonna, obviously, right? But given what's going on,
which is nothing.
Exactly. Right. Now at this stage, they have a stage.
Right. Okay.
They have a sound system. They have a stage. They have hurricane relief tents.
Jesus.
Right. They managed to get themselves a couple of thousand hurricane relief tents. So that's your luxury villa, right? The mattresses haven't arrived yet.
Season 2, episode 22. Zombies and werewolves and vampires, oh my. Part 1, zombies. The origins of the word zombie are somewhat cloudy insofar as they can't go, that's where it came from.
Right.
But the Masogo people in Gabon, in Africa, use the word zombie for corpse. That's NDZUMBI.
Yeah, zombie.
Okay, for corpse. Kikongo, KIKONGO, use the word
Marvel would come up with, isn't it?
Zambi.
Right, okay.
Which is NZAMBI.
Okay.
And that refers to a supreme being with superhuman abilities.
So does that mean
an ancestor or a deity?
Does that mean Zambians are all basically superhuman?
People from Zambia.
Yeah, well, you just said...
I spelled it completely different.
What?
NZAMBI.
Oh, NZA. Sorry, I didn't hear the end.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
Everything points towards its origins
Being African.
Being African.
Okay.
And if you think of the slave market, and they were all taken from Africa, they were brought over to the West Indies and to the fucking Americas and all that kind of thing.
And Haiti.
That would have traveled, which all over in that direction.
Yeah,
so it would have traveled there with them. Certain languages spoken in Angola and the Congo, Zumbi, Zumbi, refers to an object inhabited by a spirit or someone returned from the dead.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think is really fucking interesting. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, France and Spain enslaved hundreds of Africans, taking them to, among other places, Haiti and the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're
right where you said.
Yeah.
There, the beliefs of the Africans that were taken captive, call it what it is, and Catholic traditions of colonial authorities mixed to produce a religion known as voodoo, which is Vodou.
Okay, that's a little bit different than the voodoo that we know.
No,
or the bastardization of it.
No, I'd say voodoo is the bastardization.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Voodoo, as we know it, is a bastardization.
Okay, so that came into being. If a body isn't attended to soon after death, a sorcerer or boker, spelled boker, Bokor, so he's a sorcerer or boker, can capture the dead body and then turn it into a soulless zombie that does their bidding for as long as they want. It's theirs.
A bit of Frankenstein meets a bit of kind of voodoo. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
So historically, these zombies could be put to work and needing neither food or rest to make their captors wealthier. So they had a workforce that didn't need to rest for the day, that didn't need to be fed.
You just keep them going.
You just keep them in chains where you want them, and they're just gonna do the task that you've said. Okay.
It's an interesting take on the zombie, all right.
It's not a take; it's the origin.
Yeah.
Zombification might have been the embodiment of Haitian people's worst nightmares. So they were already slaves.
Yeah.
And death was the escape.
But
the fear was death is no longer the escape.
That
If I'm not
be a slave after.
If I'm not interred or embalmed or buried in the right context with the right prayers, you know, all this kind of stuff.
The right kind of rituals,
If my soul isn't preserved in my body, not in my body, but in the afterlife,
I'll end up being
after
a slave
I've
for
died,
eternity.
there's a chance I will be a slave forever and ever and ever, and I can't even escape this horrible slave life
as it is
in death.
It's
an eternal thing. Part 2, Werewolves. Peter Stubb, also in the 16th century, was a German farmer and just as bad. He was a wealthy German farmer, okay? And that's something to remember.
Yeah, the wealthy are all bastards. Anyway.
That's not even the angle I was coming at. But yeah, we'll circle back around to that. He terrorized Bedburg, killing and eating dozens of victims. Bedburg is just outside Cologne in Germany.
Okay.
He confessed under torture
lovely.
to all the murders and to also owning an enchanted belt that allowed him to transform into a werewolf.
Torture, yeah. That's
reliable. Raised.
That's reliable.
Eyebrow firmly cocked.
Yeah.
He's a fucking tortured confession.
Yeah.
He was executed, but no enchanted belt was ever found. Now, the fact that he was, a wealthy farmer, I would think...
Put a target on his back.
It may put a target on his back. It may have been that he was, as you alluded to a couple of minutes ago, a fucker of a landlord or an employer or whatever it was. Or it may be that he was a wealthy farmer and somebody went, I want that fucking land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
More likely, actually, yeah.
And a tortured confession just makes me...
Were the church involved anywhere here?
I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue.
Sounds like they're...
This is 16th century Europe.
Yeah.
You know, I would lean towards yes.
Yeah. And You said he was born at the stake, was he?
No, I said he was executed. Wait until we get on to how he fucking died.
All right, well, I might be able to tell you if it was the church or not then. They had their MO, you know?
Yeah, they did. Okay.
What?
I was going to leave it to later, but we might as well do it now so you can tell me the church's MO.
All right, okay.
Peter Stubb, and this is what I've written in brackets, coerced admission. So Peter Stubb's coerced admission of guilt. For that, he was strapped to a cartwheel. His skin was removed with a hot pincers.
Ugh.
His head was chopped off, and he was burned at the stake.
Yep, definitely the church. Hung, drawn, quartered, and burnt. Basically, well, he was drawn, quartered, and burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stubbs' head was carved into the likeness of a wolf and mounted on a stake as a warning to anyone who might consider doing a deal with the devil.
There you go. There's the church right there then, isn't it?
Yeah. But the whole coerced admission of guilt landowner just points to me as somebody who was a fucking patsy.
Someone who coveted their
Maybe
neighbour's goods.
He was a psychopath. Maybe he's a psychopath whose dad had lots of land, had a big farm, and he inherited it. But he's this psychopath that fucking kills and butchers and eats people. I'm not saying he was innocent.
Is there any evidence that he wasn't, though?
I've no evidence that he was. I've no evidence that he wasn't. But the fact that it was a coerced admission.
Yeah.
The fact that accusations like that stood and his coerced admission stood, and that was his execution nailed on. It was going to happen. And the fact that he had an enchanted fucking belt.
That was never found.
Which I read was an enchanted girdle. Because, belt wasn't a belt then.
Yeah.
So he had an enchanted belt that they never found. And I'm sure he had lots of belt and braces and whatnot. And everybody tried them on. They went, nope, this is not the one. He obviously ate it or burned it or something like that. But the fact that none of this shit was ever found, guy was a patsy. Part 3, Vampires. Sultan Mehmed II, who was also a fucking lunatic, had sacked Constantinople.
Right.
And had...
It's modern-day Istanbul.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic song. Go and look it up. Istanbul, not Constantinople. It's
Who's
really
that
good.
boy?
They Might Be Joints. It's deadly. It's really good. I'll play it for you after.
Okay.
And he totally fucking destroyed the Byzantine Empire as well. So this Sultan Mehmed II was no pushover. And this was all at the age of 20 or thereabouts.
Right,
you know, so similar ages, similar attitudes towards fucking humanitarianism and all that kind of stuff. So he mustered an army of about 90,000 to march on Vlad the Impaler, I suppose we call him now. His army of 30,000 untrained soldiers, farmers with spears and all that kind
People's
of shit.
army kind of thing,
Yeah. And he was going to rout them once and for all. This is the fucking end of this shit. I've had enough of your monkeying around.
Enough of this fucker.
You're out.
That's
okay?
It. Yeah.
As he marched on Vlad the Impaler, he came across 20,000 Ottoman soldiers who'd been killed or captured, who were mounted and impaled on stakes. And the Sultan, it was left for the Sultan to find. This is the way they're going to march in, lads.
Yeah, so
and they propped them all up there.
Show them what's going to happen.
Fucking fields of them.
Yeah.
Right? And the Sultan, so horrified, declared, and it's quoted, I cannot take a country from a man capable of such things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do you stop 100,000 people dead in their tracks and march them the other way?
Lads, get the fuck out of here.
I'm not even laughing at the fact that he did it. It's horrific.
Yeah, it's horrific,
fucking
but
horrendous.
It's fucking effective.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go to a war with a guy that had the potential to fucking do that to me. No thanks.
Historians state that Vlad often tried tactics that would destroy an army, not defeat them.
Yeah.
He'd destroy them.
Mentally, physically, and fucking,
we talked about in Werewolves that werewolves were quite possibly just serial killers who'd been given this title because the crimes were so fucking horrific.
Yeah.
This guy was fucking horrific. This is horrendous. He'd poison wells. He'd torch crops. He sent people who were sick to infiltrate other armies, other towns,
and make them sick,
to spread that illness. Like there was nothing this guy wouldn't try. Apparently, Season 2, Episode 25, The Easily Avoidable Disaster of the Titanic. On April the 14th at 11:40 p.m, Titanic struck an iceberg on its starboard side. So the 2.5 degree heel to the starboard.
List is the word there, isn't it?
No, it's called a heel.
Is it?
Yeah. It's listing, but it's a 2.5 degree heel. It is called a heel. And I know that because my dad was a sailor and I grew up with all that shit.
Never heard that.
Yeah, 2.5 degree heel. The iceberg was 2 miles wide and 100 feet tall. And had broken off the Greenland and had...
Above the water, or is that in total, do you know?
Oh, that's got to be just above the water.
Yeah, so that's only the fucking tip of the iceberg, literally.
Yeah, that's like, it's got to be, I think isn't it a 1/3 to 2/3?
Something like that.
To stay, to keep your iceberg upright, or it calves and fucking, flips over and all that kind of shit. 100 feet tall and 2 miles wide.
Yeah.
And they were going so fast that the lookouts, which they did have on
crow's nests,
up in the crow's nest on
Ice Watch. Ice Watch,
that'll do. Ice Watch hadn't time to relay iceberg ahead before and then turn it, and it was going so fast it didn't turn.
Yeah, it wasn't time.
Obviously, it wasn't going to turn on a penny.
No,
but they must have been moving at stupid speeds in dangerous waters. Fucking hell. It had broken off, it was 2 miles wide, 100 feet tall, and had broken off the Greenland ice sheet in 1909, the year that the Titanic construction began. And they know that because from ocean currents, they can just track it all back.
That was like destiny. They were destined to meet there.
Yeah. It's that's why I wrote in brackets the year the Titanic construction began. Spotters Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee immediately radioed the bridge after spotting the iceberg.
Yeah, iceberg dead ahead, yeah.
Yeah. But such was the Titanic speed, which I was just fucking alluding to, it couldn't alter course quickly enough. And as you said, if it had hit it head on, it stood a better chance of staying afloat.
Yeah, it was because it was turning.
I can imagine the fucking damage there would have been to it.
Oh yeah, it would have crumpled in the front of the
but it might have stayed afloat. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it would have killed anyone in the first half of the ship probably.
Yeah. They couldn't alter course quickly enough. They turned to port, so it was the starboard side going up along the iceberg.
Exactly.
And it punctured several small holes in the hull. Initially the damage seemed small, but as the crew began to assess the damage, a 300-foot gash below the waterline was allowing water to flood into the forward compartments.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Fucking imagine that. I mean, they'd have been looking over the side and I can see damage.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know how bad it is, and get somebody down to the fucking keel of the ship or the hull or whatever. And then the thing is fucking a disaster.
Yeah, it's flooded.
Nuts. The ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, didn't you say him?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Informed the captain that the Titanic was doomed.
Yeah. So after telling them for the last 3 years that it was unsinkable. And it was him, he coined that unsinkable thing,
Yeah.
And now we're fucked.
But 5 compartments are damaged.
Yeah.
And he knows.
He knows from the design, that's it, you're fucked.
Designing it can withstand 4x5. And he said, no, it's fucked. It's fucked.
She's made of iron, she will sink.
16 compartments. That's what it had.
Yeah.
It could stay afloat with 4 of the 16 compartments flooded, but the collision had breached 5, and that was the end of her. At 12:05, the captain ordered the ship to be abandoned, but the horrendous level of crew training led to much confusion and delays.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't have anywhere near enough lifeboats either.
It's been mooted that the Titanic had enough lifeboats, but they obscured first-class passengers' views of nothing.
Yeah.
Of the open fucking sea.
Thought they were taken out.
And so 50% of them were removed.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is.
I've heard that in
several
sources.
But I had heard it and I read it in a couple of places.
Yeah, I've heard it in several sources. I read it in several sources.
At 2:18 a.m, the lights went out, plunging everything into darkness. Season 2, Episode 26, The Darkside of Fairytales. It's the story of a fair maiden / princess, and she's under a 100-year sleep spell. Yeah. But I read there was 13 wise old women in this kingdom,
Right.
right? And Sleeping Beauty was born. The celebration was there's going to be a massive banquet in her honor.
Right.
I think. I'm going off the top of my head now,
Yeah, okay,
right?
no worries.
To honor her birth. And there were only 12 golden plates.
So
there were only 12 of the 13 wise women that were invited.
Right.
Now, fuck knows why they didn't just get an
Another plate.
ordinary plate and say, listen, I'm really sorry about this, but you're more than welcome, and kind of mend fences as you get through the night. She wasn't
they just
invited at all.
excluded her.
They just excluded her, right? And when she found out about it,
she got pissed off.
She came to the banquet and she was fucking irate. She was, fuck yous, fuck this shit, fuck everything. Here's the course. She, on X birthday, is going to prick her finger. And when she does, she's going to fall into a deep sleep for 100 years. So, at least it was only for 100 years and not for 1,000,000 or anything like that. It's for 100 years. So the king decreed that all sharp objects should be taken out of the kingdom.
That's right.
So it can't happen, right?
Yeah.
And then one day she found herself, she was out walking the kingdom or whatever it was. She was in the castle and she looked up this tall tower and there was somebody up there. There was a light from one of the rooms and she was like, what the fuck is this? So she went up and she wound her way upstairs and there was an old lady on a loom spinning. She was like, what's that? Because she'd never seen it because they'd all been taken out of circulation.
Yeah.
And she goes, that's a loom that I do my loom shit on. Or whatever it was. The spinning wheel. Yeah. And she pricked her finger on the needle and she fell into a deep sleep. Yeah. She fell backwards into a deep sleep. Now, fortunately, there was a bed right behind her. And she fell so squarely onto it that she just throw a cover over and she's asleep for 100 years, right? So that's it. But all the kingdom fell asleep.
Oh.
Right, so they all fell asleep. And we know the story, the Disney version is the handsome prince comes along and he beats his way through the briars and chops his way through and there's a dragon that I think Disney threw in.
Okay.
But
everybody needs more dragons.
Of princes had tried to chop the way through the briars before
make it, right?
Prince Charming.
Yeah.
And had impaled themselves on the briars and died.
And all their bodies were there. Like
so, in various degrees of decomposition, all the fucking, So, and the more food that you give this briar patch, the better it gets.
Right, yeah.
So he chops his way through.
Things you don't see in Disney.
He chops his way through. And he finds the tower and goes up to the top. It finds the Sleeping Beauty in the bed and gives her a kiss. And she wakes up and the whole kingdom wakes up and they live happily ever after. Oh. That's the story we know.
That's the Disney version.
That is not the fucking story I read.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. It was a king passing on his horse past this old broken down castle that everyone for generations is saying, yeah, it's fucking dead. There was a curse on that, blah, 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 blah. Right? He went in and investigated. He came upon the tower that fucking Sleeping Beauty's in and climbed the stairs all the way to the top. And he went in and he didn't kiss Sleeping Beauty.
I think I know what you're going to say.
He raped her.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one.
He raped
Lovely.
her. She didn't wake.
Okay.
Which, maybe they were using some variety of Rohypnol. Right? But she didn't wake. She only woke after she gave birth to twins and they were breastfeeding. She woke up and there were two infants.
Okay.
Breastfeeding off her and she said, what the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
Right? Fucking breastfeeding after being raped.
See why Disney and the children's books changed that story to hell indeed.
There's more.
Okay.
The queen, the king's wife,
found out,
heard about his transgressions and he's having a bit in the side and she's after having twins. Concocted a plan to kill the twins and feed them to the king.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck me. And these were children's stories.
No. They were warnings.
Yeah, but they were made for children.
This was it. Her plan was scuppered. She was found out. The king and queen separated, as you would. And the king lived happily ever after with Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, yeah, fucking the woman he raped and impregnated.
The woman he raped in his sleep and had twins without her consent. And they lived happily ever after.
Lovely.
Season 2, episode 27, Welcome to the Middle Ages, Stinkbags. There was one, and I do not remember this guy, and I should have took notes on his name, but stunk so bad. And this is in an age of funk, where they all stink.
Right.
Stunk so bad that people that were in his court for negotiations for this, that, or the other, often conceded much more in the conversation and the meeting between the two because they didn't want to be in his presence. And that's it. That's a good tactic. You know, if that's your tactic,
Yeah.
well done.
They leave me alone if I stink bad enough.
You were right. It was Queen Isabella.
Hey, I had a feeling.
Queen Isabella of Castile, 1451 to 1504, is said to have admitted to only washing herself twice in her life.
Yeah.
So this is not some historian that said something's fucking wrong here. This is a quote from her.
Yeah, from herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, something rang a bell, Queen Isabella, yeah, straight away there.
I would just like to add, for the people who are descendants of Queen Isabella.
These are stink bags.
No, these are not stink bags.
Have a wash.
But your ancestor saying that she only had 2 baths in her life, the one that she had after she was born doesn't fucking count.
Yeah, she didn't choose that one.
Yeah, no, that's, everybody has that.
And she says that as a bleeding boast as well, doesn't she?
And Victoria said hers
as a boast.
Yeah. Whether one needs it or not. You fucking do need it. You know what? The whole middle-aged time is ruled by, what was her name? Marjorie. Marjorie, the trash heap from Fraggle Rock. Ruled Britain, Europe, France, Spain.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
They were all the trash heap. The trash heap is spoken.
Ah, Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Used to love
great.
that.
King Louis XIV was also an advocate of only bathing twice in his life.
Do you know what they should do to people like him?
What?
Cut their heads off. Oh, wait.
Yeah. When he got hammered, like he didn't.
When he got hammered by the guillotine.
When he didn't, he bathed twice in his life, right? That's his thing. I washed myself twice in my life. I took 2 baths, or wherever it was. When he got hammered drunk, his servants used to bathe him when he was unconscious. Isn't that great?
This smelly bastard, get him in the bath.
They'd force him to bathe. So, and they'd walk him and disrobe him as they're doing it and walk him towards the bath, and he's locked it and fuck him in a bath. Watch yourself.
Deadly.
That's deadly. That's great.
And then they fucked him under a guillotine and chopped his head off, which was even better.
Yeah. He was, and it was recorded in history, he was deathly afraid of being underwater.
No, okay, well that's genuine.
I can understand a fear of water. Yeah. Even when you're an adult. But there's one way around it. You know, hold your breath and fucking give it a go. And then the next few times down the road after you give it a go, try opening your eyes.
It gets easier. Yeah.
In general, most French aristocrats, I keep saying that.
Aristocrats.
That was a movie.
Yeah, Disney movie,
Yeah. Aristocrats avoided bathing if at all possible. They drowned themselves in perfume, wore powder, and natural oils, as
to
we
mask
said
the
earlier,
stench.
to mask the accumulated stink of fucking ages. James I never bathed in his life. Now, I'm sure he was washed after he was born.
And probably after he died.
But never bathed.
Now you see,
I'm assuming he was washed when he was born.
Now, we were saying earlier, right, that, you know, peasants didn't have access to hygiene, and that's probably why they were quite scruffy or whatever. These bastards had all the access in the world and they wouldn't use it.
But as I was saying earlier, it was thought that washing your body opened your pores and illness got in.
Yeah.
And that was a way illness got in. And they were advised by their clerical advisors that this, you know, this is the fucking thing.
Don't bathe.
So yeah, his lordship shouldn't fucking bathe. Just put this stink on and mask it.
Mad.
And it was James I that I was talking about earlier, who said a name I couldn't remember, that when they'd meet him, they would capitulate or concede whatever to get away
because
it was the most offensive stink they'd ever smelled, which must have been incredible because they probably stunk themselves. Season 2, Episode 28, Christmas Movies That Aren't. It's a Wonderful Life. 1946, Frank Capra.
Bedford Falls.
Yeah, badly of it.
It's just... Why is it on your list?
Why is it on my list? Because I'll only watch it at Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie. It's a completely Christmas movie.
But you'll see it on during the year and I won't watch it.
Nah, no way.
I won't watch it. I've always seen it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
During
it's
the year?
all the fucking time. Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah. And I won't watch it.
That's like putting fucking Santa Claus the movie on fucking June.
Probably put it fucking on.
Oh, it's definitely a Christmas movie. I don't think there's any argument there.
To celebrate the summer solstice this weekend, we've got It's a Wonderful Life.
Have you seen the colorized version?
No, wouldn't bother.
I watched it last year, right? Look, my Lisa won't watch black and white. She just doesn't like it. And, you know, kids won't watch black and white movies. You know that yourself. Yeah. So I managed to acquire a copy of the colorized version. And it was actually pretty good. It was pretty good.
I wouldn't bother.
It's not the same. Obviously, it's just not the same.
But we know the story, right? And here's the thing I found out about it.
Jimmy Stewart, though.
Yeah. George Bailey is the manager of a bank. And he gets into trouble when his bank deposit gets lost. It's left, I think it's by his cousin. It's left on a table and it's picked up by this tycoon who owns the competing bank, who pockets it.
Yeah, and who wants to...
And he doesn't, because he wants to acquire whatever, there's something in loans, whatever the fuck.
Saving and loans.
And he wants to acquire it, so he pockets it. Yeah. Right? And so he pockets the mislaid, in quotation marks, envelope of money that was going to take them through the Christmas period.
Yeah.
So George... And
all the loans for everybody for Christmas.
So George starts...
They've been saving all year to get that money out.
George starts wishing, I wish I wasn't born. Everything shit hits the fan, all that kind of thing. And he gets his wish granted. Yeah. So I'm just going through it for...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Bring us all up to speed. So he gets, what's the angel's name?
Frank, is it? Or
I don't know.
Something like...
Somebody got their wings. Every time a bell is rung, an angel gets his wings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a real normal name. Like, it's not like, you know, Gabriel or Michael or...
No, it's not
Willie
biblical. It's just...
Willie or Bill or Frank or fucking John.
Anyway. He takes him back to Bedford Falls if he didn't exist. And all these things have changed. And his wife is a spinster and she's mad and she lives in a damp, leaky house. Same house, but damp, but leaky, and she doesn't know him and he scares her, all that kind of thing.
Is dead. The whole town is basically falling apart, isn't it?
Because he wouldn't exist. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see a movie where they take somebody back where everything's better.
Yeah. Simon Harris, this is your life.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
But it is, I suppose, in many ways, it is a modern, for its time, retelling of A Christmas Carol. It's a similar take, like, isn't that kind of what the Ghost of Christmas Past and that?
That's what the whole thing
Scrooge.
is. Yeah.
Like, they show him what life would have been like without him.
Yeah. What the reason I was telling you all this, even though you know what it's about, is after it was released, the FBI investigated because there was a negative connotation afforded to tycoons.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because of what your man did.
So it was left-wing, diverse of fucking...
That's what they...
Yeah, McCarthyism. Was this during the McCarthy era?
It was, I don't know, when was that? It was, this is 1946.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a million miles away from the McCarthy era. Yeah.
This is post-World War II.
Yeah.
You know, and it would have been tycoons creating industry and jobs and rebuilding and all that kind of thing.
And greed is good.
Yeah, the tycoon robbing the money and pocketing it and not saying, oh, here, look, I found your money, I saved the fucking day. Which is going to be a short movie. But the negative connotations associated with that, it was investigated. I'm not sure what the outcome was. I'm sure there wasn't anything. But it was very accurate.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And that's your lot for 2024. See you all in 2025. Happy New Year.